Hey YouTube, what's up? It's me, Drew again, and I'm coming at you guys with a third day in a row review. Except this time I'm going to be doing something a bit different. I've said that like 1,000 times, but yep, yeah, I'm going to be doing a concert review for the Nickelback, Seether, Bush, and My Darkest Days show. In fact, the show, yeah, let's just say I got a few souvenirs, but I'll dive into that later. But anyways, yeah, I went 3 weeks ago, or no, actually probably more than that, about 5 weeks ago, on the 30th of April at Verizon Center, and let me just say it was a pretty good show. I saw them on all the right reasons. I saw Nickelback all the right reasons. So I had an idea of what they were going to play. I had an idea of what they were trying to do and convey. I knew they were trying to strike for something bigger than what they had done last time on the Dark Horse tour, which they used Seether as a supporting act too. But anyways, so I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to go into the opening bands. First band that played was actually the one I went to see, kind of. My Darkest Days. And I went to see them because mainly I'd been listening to MDD for about a year beforehand. I had listened to the song Porn Star Dancing, Move Your Body, Every Lie, Save Me, World Belongs to Me, a bunch of actually the entire first album. And I had been following them quite a while, and I really liked what they had put out, and I wanted to see them live. So I tried to think of a good opportunity to see them live. So yeah, I basically went to see them, and so when we got to the stage, it was pretty easy to find our seats, and by that time MDD was there was about minus 10 minutes until show, and when MDD came on, the lights went dim, and they opened with their song "Sick and Twisted Affair," which was really good, by the way. MDD sounded on which they play after they played a "Move Your Body," "Casual Sex," and then finished off with "Porn Star Dancing." Yeah, no, it's a very clean set list. Um, so yeah, it was a really good set that they played. One thing I will say that they did is their sound wasn't so clear. Uh, they were really good. They played music and they fired up the crowd for the headliner, which is what every opening band is supposed to do. But one thing I will say is that the sound guys didn't really do a very good job. There was a lot of distortion on the guitars, and but yeah, they played a really good show. I enjoyed seeing them, and they actually signed my arm with a Sharpie, and it took about a week to come off. That's only because I retraced it because I have no life, and I love bands like that. Okay, so next we have Seether, who, if you watch my past videos, I reviewed their latest album, Holding on the Strings Better Than the Fray. But they came on next, and they started off with the song Gasoline, which is off Disclaimer, and then they played Fine Again, and they played an acoustic version of Broken, I'm pretty sure. They played Remedy as the last song, and they played other tracks like Rise Above This and Breakdown. And they sounded really good too. But one thing I will say is that when I was watching them, um, the vocals were really good, the guitars were really good, the songs were very good, but the sound was so incredibly bad. There was so many distortion, and they were just so loud. They were just so incredibly loud. They drained out their own music, and that's the reason why I sort of condemn their performance as a group. But they themselves played a great selection of songs, a great selection of hits that they have of themselves, and I enjoyed watching them a lot. They impressed me with the music they played, and but it was just the sound that wasn't so good. Okay, next we had Bush. Bush. A bit of background on Bush. Yeah, they're sort of grungy. They're more grungy than Nickelback. This one thing I will say about the opening bands is that they all add to Nickelback's sort of texture. I will say, like My Darkest Days showed one side of Nickelback by playing the hard rock sort of horn heavy, sexually oriented stuff. Seether kind of showed the alternative metal loud side that Nickelback likes to play, and Bush showed a bit more grungy and 90s like, and they all built up to sort of give Nickelback that sort of feel that they have, and that was really cool how they did that. But when Bush came out, they played their hits like Everything Zen and Glycerin, and they played a few other tracks. They played a cover of Come Together by the Beatles, and at that point, Gavin Rossdale, who was the singer from Bush, he would actually walk through the stands while singing the song. And I remember seeing something like that at a Three Doors Down concert where they played with Switchfoot, and the Switchfoot lead singer walked through the stage while singing the song "Meant to Live." I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was Meant to Live. I don't know, but yeah, they played a really good set. When you were watching it, you were almost feeling like they were the headliner because they came out, they had powerful songs, and they were getting the crowd fired up. The crowd was singing along, they were enjoying it a lot, which is sort of weird because I thought Bush would almost take a backseat to Seether during the show. But once I realized that the lineup was a certain way, then but I will definitely say that Bush was definitely one of the best sounding bands that night. Um, they were, yeah, I think they were definitely one of the best bands that night. But anyways, so in between each band, they would have about a 15 to 30 minute break. Yeah, more like 15 minutes, where people would get up, they would walk around, buy merch or whatever, and My Darkest Days would come out to sign or something, and so after about 15 minutes of Bush, after Bush was done, we were pretty pumped. We were ready to see Nickelback. We were ready to get fired up, and so the lights go dim. The lights go dim in the arena, and the arena goes black. Next thing you know, you hear the opening of This Means War," and it was obviously a backing track. They weren't actually playing their instruments. They just about before the drums were going to kick in, they stopped, and they left this awkward silence in the arena for about 5 seconds, and they bursted right out, and they used a lot of pyro, which is one thing I will say about Nickelback is that they use a lot of pyrotechnics when it comes to their live shows. They can't. I don't think they did one song without the use of fire, except maybe Far Away, but so they came out and they played that song, and then of course Nickelback, they did what they did. They were really interactive with the crowd, and they were really yeah, they were really interactive with the crowd. They were trying to really connect with people, and then they played "Something in Your Mouth" and some of the tunes off Dark Horse, like "Burn It to the Ground," which they played later in the set. Um, and they played some of my favorites like "Photograph," "Far Away." They played some songs off the new album. I think "Gotta Get Me Some," "Lullaby," which was I think the first time I've ever seen Chad without a guitar in his hand, and a bunch of their hits. It was sort of like they were reinventing themselves with new tracks. But that's what every single band does when they go on a new tour, is that they take their new songs and they mix it with their old songs. Um, but yeah, I don't have the set list sitting right in front of me, so I wouldn't exactly remember what they played. But all I do remember is that they did a drum solo with their drummer, who name I don't even remember, you know. But his drum solo was about 6 minutes long, and it was pretty good. Just as you thought he was done, he would burst right back out, and it just made you kept wanting to watch. And next they came out, they played "Burn It to the Ground" as a part of their encore, and then they finished up the set with a surprising song. They finished up with oh, they played "How You Remind Me," and then they finished up with "Figured You Out," which was I think was surprising because "Figured You Out" it doesn't necessarily seem like a final song. You know, it seems like something you would put right in the smack middle of the lineup to get the crowd pumped, or something that would end the normal set to get the crowd pumped for the encore. But it was definitely a good choice. I don't really have any criticisms of the show about Nickelback wise. Besides, I think maybe all the pyro and stuff. They played Rockstar, and they played a few songs out on this floating stage in the middle of the arena. They would have the lights go dark in between their song, and they would walk through the crowd, and they would go to their floating stage, and they would be raised on this platform and like twisted around while they were playing their songs. Well, there were no amps on there at all, or there was a drum kit, but it was really small, and I don't even know how they got through it, but it was really good. Okay, so overall, I loved the show. It was fantastic. They had a really good set of opening bands. My Darkest Days, Bush and Seether. They all built up to sort of the hype and the theme of Nickelback, all contributing to their own sound, which Nickelback incorporates into their music. But yeah, going back to what I was doing earlier. My Darkest Days kind of showed the hard rock side of Nickelback. Seether kind of showed the alternative metal side of Nickelback, and Bush sort of showed the grunge thing side of Nickelback. And I think that was really clever what they did with that. I think Nickelback put some thought into that before they went out and actually did it. But yeah, it was a fantastic show. I'm very glad I went. I was hanging out with a lot of drunk chicks during the show. There was one that kept like clinging to me all the time. She was like, "Oh, let's party," but yeah, yeah, it was a great show. I'm so glad I went, and I would recommend if you haven't seen the Here and Now tour, it's coming to a city near you. Buy your freaking tickets and go. It'll be a blast. It'll be an awesome time for you. I promise. All right, guys, this has been another review by me. I think I'm gonna come at you guys with another review pretty soon of an album. I'm thinking 30 Seconds to Mars, but we'll see what happens. All right, guys, it's always a pleasure. This is Andrew, over and out. Take care.